My name is Evan, and I am here at Coach's Take. I have in front of me a founder. His name is Garrett Martin. He is the founder of Key Outreach. Key Outreach is a outbound solution for companies that are looking to scale their business through lead generation. But let me share with you about Garrett. This guy's a leader. Built his business from scratch. The second time I met Garrett, it was supposed to be a one-on-one call, and he hopped on the meeting. He had two guys with him. He said, never mind these guys. These are my guys in training, but they're shadowing me for the full day for all my meetings. I knew right then, I said, that guy's a leader. I said, that guy's a coach. So when I sent him a message and said, hey, you want to be on the show? He said, hell yeah. So then we started talking, and he was like, we got to talk about all the things that have shaped me. I was like, okay. He said, I got these four pillars. He said, these four pillars have shaped me, and I got these through the three coaches in my life, including my pops. I was like, wow. So I said, yo, we got to get this show on the road. So all the way from Louisville, my friend here, founder of Key Outreach, Garrett Martin. Garrett, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing well, Evan. I really appreciate you having me up. The short drive from 65. It's always great to be back in that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. From Louisville. And listen, what I didn't say is you are ultimately authentic. I learned this today that every pair of shoes you have is red.
Red and black, man. Louisville Cardinals. Since I was, a little kid, being brought to the games in diapers. Been really fortunate to go to a lot of games through my life. Moved a lot as a kid, and we always had that Louisville Cardinals flag out front of the house.
Yeah.
And then my business partner Kevin and I, we got teamed up when we were at school at the University of Louisville, and he and I really bonded as friends, not just colleagues, going to the basketball games. So naturally, our company colors are red and black, so it's easy for my wardrobe whenever I go to any work functions.
I love that. But that's that authenticacy that people appreciate. You show up who you are. You're saying you're wearing the brand. You got the red shoes, but people see you coming. I love that, man. I love that. Well, on this show, okay, be prepared to give a take on a coach. I kind of gave everybody a preview of these four pillars that you had in regards to building your leadership style. So we'll get to that, but we're definitely going to get a take from you on a coach that shaped you.
Great.
So let's talk about Key Outreach. Okay, you built this thing from scratch. Share with me kind of talk about the journey for you, like being an entrepreneur and a founder to where you are now.
So I'd say the most important thing through my journey is finding a partner in Kevin, who I've worked so closely with. We've been in business for 7 years now, but he and I have known each other for over a decade. And when I was in college, I was working at a company that did something very similar to Key Outreach. That company ultimately ended up going under, but they had a few clients who still needed this type of outreach, to schedule meetings for their sales team. And so I took a chance, stayed on working a little while, didn't get paid for probably a month or two. And they were like, okay, who's this kid? They gave me a shot as a contractor. They were working with a venture partners company, Newark Venture Partners out in Newark, New Jersey. Their head of growth, Kevin Petrie, was working closely with Relio, the company I was helping out. And all of a sudden I got an introduction into this whole new world of, SaaS and VC and all these, really venture backed, really cool companies. And I found myself with 4 or 5 clients. I, began to feel a bit overwhelmed. I'm like, okay, I only have, so much time in the day. And so, and meeting with Kevin, we had some coffee, and it was kind of a light bulb moment. Like, all right, let's do this thing. And we're very different people. We, obviously get along very well, and we're really close. We're, family at this point, but we complement one another. He is everything operations. He is, was an analyst at a bank, very detail oriented. I am a people person. I love meeting folks, out shaking hands, kissing babies. So that is, a little bit of the origin story there. And I would say I wouldn't be here without having a great, partner to complement, my abilities.
I love that. You took an opportunity where it could have been, done, and you made something out of it, right? So you made something out of an opportunity for some other people that can never seize it. See, that's the difference between an entrepreneur. It wasn't that you just all of a sudden said, "Oh man, like I want to do this." Like it was already in you. And I believe that. I believe that the opportunity wasn't too difficult for you to handle. You said you found yourself with customers. 4 customers? That's a big deal. That's the start of something very, very special. So building this, you're building this, and like talk about what's the spark in you to say, you know what, I think I can take on this as what I'm doing with my life.
So when I got out of school, I was really fortunate to be back at home with moms,
Mhm.
and my parents, they were going through a split at the time, and she's like, come home, kind of get your feet underneath you. I took probably 10 interviews and got a number of job offers, and I wasn't feeling excited. I'm like, could be a cool salary, could be a cool opportunity, but I was still doing this, contractor work on the side.
Mhm.
And there was one specific interview I took, and the guy, he was kind of a jerk, and I'm like, do I really want to, work for somebody else? And I'm like, all right, I'm going to go all in on this thing, and
Mhm.
didn't know where I was headed. Ignorance is bliss, as they say, and so was really fortunate to be at home with no bills at the time that I, was able to, start, taking these trips and working with these companies. So I would say that was probably the biggest motivating factor. I was never the best student, probably didn't apply myself the best, like many entrepreneurs, B and C student, looking out the window, looking, thinking about how we can make money. I was sitting in class working as a contractor, trying to
Mhm.
schedule meetings for clients in my last year of school. And so I guess that would probably be really that. I've always, resisted authority, and my mother would definitely agree with that. And, bet on, if it's meant to be, it's up to me. That was kind of my approach.
So they say that people who are entrepreneurs, there's a sign that you're going to be an entrepreneur by the age of 4, where you do something like a lemonade stand or you create something at the house. Did you have any stories back like early age, maybe preteen, that may have been a key sign that you would be an entrepreneur today?
100%. You talk about lemonade stand, I would recruit my younger sisters to, man the stand while I was inside making it and probably watching television, having them, bring me the profits and, breaking off them a little piece of candy or
Yeah.
something like that. I would notably take golf balls from my dad's bag and walk up to the course club and try and resell those golf balls. That was probably another sign. And then I was, cutting a lot of grass, right? Going door to door. I've always been about, getting money. And so I would say between lemonade stands, selling golf balls that weren't mine, and then cutting grass. That was definitely, the early signs that my mom always points back to. Most notably the golf ball ones, because it was funny, taking some from my old man and trying to resell them, probably marking them up. I was trying to sell one golf ball for $5, and people were kind of laugh at me and stuff. But I would say those were definitely, sort of the early signs.
I love that. I love that. And shout out to your partner. I want to meet your partner, but I know he and I have connected on LinkedIn. You guys have a great thing going. And in the intro, I was sharing your leadership because you showed up on a call with your guys. It's like, hey, these guys are running with me today. It was kind of like the kung fu guy that shows up outside the dojo with 2 bodyguards.
Yeah.
He can whoop everybody, but he had guys with him anyways. Like,
Hmm.
that's your style, man. You're leading from the front. So talk a little bit about your leadership. You're clearly leading the sales effort and leading the sales team.
Yep.
So you grew into that, or that's what you do. Like, help me with some of your leadership style there.
So, I use the quote from, Julius Campbell and Remember the Titans, attitude,
Mhm.
reflect leadership. I always try and lead by example. If
Mhm.
I would never ask my team to do something that I'm not going to do,
Mhm.
and by, instead of playing the game of telephone, let me tell you this, let's review back, come and, show me. So that, the two guys that you got to see were, two of my sales guys.
Yeah.
And as they're getting ramped up, instead of just, throwing them to the deep end, let me show you on here. Let me, show you how I bring the ball up the court and get it to the hoop
Mhm.
and score. Right. So that's really my biggest thing is, leading by example. Show them that you're not afraid to do the work that you're asking them to do, and furthermore that you're capable at it, and they can trust that you're going to lead them in the right path.
Yeah, I had a leader that said the same thing to me. He says, I'm never going to ask you to do something that I'm not willing to do
Hmm.
myself. That's important. First of all, that builds trust because now I'm not going to sit back and watch you fail. Like if I can do it, then there's trust there, there's confidence there. But also too, if you can't do it, I can dive in at the same time and we can figure it out together.
Exactly.
That's huge. That's huge. How do your guys see you as the player coach or as the leader who's leading from the front?
I always try to bring the energy, try to be positive about it. Sort of build, break, build. There's many different coaching philosophies, and there's an old way of doing things and a new way of doing things. And you see, some of these coaches, like whether it be a Sean McVay in the NFL,
Mhm.
who's his players like him, he can relate to them, versus the old way of doing things. The Bobby Knights of the world that
Yes.
would rip your head off, and it may have been effective in getting some things done, but it's think times have changed, and way of motivating folks is by uplifting but not tearing them down. So I'm very big in building them up. When we listen to a call back, like, here are the good things I saw, here's some things I think you can work on, not making this their identity. Tearing someone down personally is never going to be an effective way of leadership. I don't believe in leading with fear. I lead by trying to uplift and say, here's how. I'm not calling you out, I'm calling you up. Is kind of my philosophy.
That's what's up. So remember last time you were in Indy, me and you were not last time you were in Indy. Last time I saw you here in Indy, you and I were talking about Rick Pitino.
Yep, go Cards.
He went viral, right, with his speech about guys out here not letting the coach him. So but you also brought up Bob Knight. It's like, hey, there's an old guard. Is there a blend between a player coach and a disciplinarian coach? Has the game shifted? And this is philosophical now, but has the game, sales, leadership, basketball, has it shifted that much that we can't dig in and try to like get the best out of people? What's your thoughts on that?
So it's shifted, but I'll say this about Coach Pitino, and growing up, going to Louisville games my whole life, seeing that run in 2013 when they won the national championship, being a part of some of those great teams. If you listen to his players, the Peyton Sivas, Gorgie Jangs, Russ Smith, he had ballers on the team, and he would get on their ass, really rip them and tell them stuff. But if you really listen to what his players say, they know that he loves them. They know that he trusts them behind closed doors. He's going to talk with them. He's going to let them know he cares about them. So I think it's a healthy blend, because Coach Pitino, he's been around since the 70s and 80s, and certainly leads with that, I'm going to rip your tail if you mess up, but he's also going to build you up and tell you, here's what I think you can be, right? That St. John stuff, he's getting on them, but he's like, do you want to be Donovan Mitchell, or do you want to be a guy who never makes it into the NBA? So I think it's a healthy blend of both. You got know when to turn that switch on, because if they're not giving you your best effort, that's unacceptable. But if you are going to give me your best effort and you're going to make mistakes, well, okay, you're a human being. I can live with that. I can live with somebody who's busting their tail and not seeing the results. Where the Coach Patinos, and where I adopt those philosophies. If you're not giving me your all, that's absolutely unacceptable, and I'm going to make that clear.
You sound like a true coach. You sound like basketball. This we can have a conversation, because Pitino had a very, very controversial move in I think it was the Sweet 16, where he had his best player on the bench during some crucial minutes when they were trying to defeat
Arkansas. And Coach Cal, his old nemesis, had a lot of wars.
I know.
He and Cal.
We can do a whole podcast on that.
Yeah.
Because Pitino, that was a crazy season for him, and kudos for Louisville, Pitino, and that group. But you sound like a coach, and this we're going to get on this section here, because we're going to talk about your philosophy. You specifically said, hey, man, I got to unload these 4 pillars. And this is important, because this is the takeaway for someone listening, saying, okay, I'm feeling this Garrett guy. What's he built like? Like, talk about what shaped you.
Those 4 pillars?
Yes.
Hard work, integrity, self-awareness, and then perseverance. And those first 3, those were drilled into me from the time I was young. Those were that was the philosophy of my father. I'm not really sure where he got that from. My dad had some really cool jobs. He was at Brown-Forman. He was CFO of Driscoll Strawberries. Let's just say he maybe didn't follow those principles at all times himself, but learn from example. And then my partner Kevin and I, we really added in that perseverance. And across those, hard work, it's self-explanatory. Give 110%. Right? Some of the best defenders in the world in any sport, football, basketball, they may not be the most talented, but they're gonna be a dog. They're gonna be on you. They're gonna be really getting after it. Self-awareness, you got to be self-aware. Whenever I hire somebody, I always ask them, how are they related to that with the self-awareness? And I always say, look, I'm not the most organized. That's why my partner Kevin has been so great for me. He helps me keep everything in line, cross the T's, dot the I's. Integrity, that one also, self-explanatory. Lead with integrity. Be real, right? If you don't think you can help somebody, just tell them. Some of the most satisfying sales I've ever had are folks who I'm like, I don't know if this is going to work. I'm willing to try it, and they're like, oh well, I want to try it, right? Integrity. How you do anything is how you do everything. Like we heard at the event earlier today. Lead with integrity. If you do right and do right by other people, it will come around tenfold. No ifs, ands, or buts. It may not be when you expect or how you expect, but you got to really, really be, put all the chips on the table. And then perseverance. Bad shit's going to happen in life. We've all been through terrible things. We're all fighting battles behind closed doors that we don't talk to other people about. And especially being an entrepreneur, it is a contact sport. You're going to get hit in the mouth. You're going to lose clients. You're going to fail. You're going to make mistakes. Life is 90% how you respond, 10% what happens
Yep.
to you, right? So like
Yes.
you got to really persevere because as you get older as an adult, you got to accept things. Life is not fair and life is hard,
Yeah.
and you got to embrace that head on and
Yeah.
just show up one foot in front of the other every day.
That's killer. Hard work, integrity, self-awareness, perseverance.
Yep.
4 pillars.
Yep.
How you do a thing is how you do everything,
Hmm.
right? What was the other one? It's not what happens to you, it's how you respond. Come
Exactly.
on now.
Yeah. Exactly.
Dropping some heat.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? I love that, and I appreciate you sending that to me because people coming on the show, you coming on the show. It's like what makes somebody who's a leader and a coach tick, and there's always a reasoning. And I love I love that part of understanding people's philosophy. But this is my absolute favorite part of the show. So every guest that comes on the Coach's Take has to give a take, has to give a take on a coach that has coached them by name. If you don't say the name, that's fine, but someone that has influenced their life and has influenced their philosophy, but also too how you pay that forward in your current leadership today. Give me your take.
Mine has got to be my high school football coach, Domingo Ruiz. He has, now become a friend, has been a mentor for a long time. In many ways, has been sort of a father figure to me. When I moved from Kentucky to California in high school, I, like many kids, didn't like moving, didn't want to move. He really sort of took me under my wing. And a good friend of mine, Ty Sambrilo, who ended up actually making it to the NFL,
Mhm.
he took Domingo took Ty and I under his wing, and we would go to Gold's Gym in Watsonville, California, 6 a.m. Before school every day to lift.
Mm-hmm.
And if we were late, he would be honest, like, why are you late?
Yeah.
You're wasting my time is valuable. Is just as valuable as yours. Like really showing up there,
Mm-hmm.
really encouraged me to be like, why don't you care about school? Because whether you make it to college or make it to the NFL, Ty made it to the NFL. Well, he's retired now after
Yeah.
7 years. You need to really be focused on how you can impact others into your life. And
Mm-hmm.
he continues to coach, and he works in North Monterey County now, California, really
Okay.
really rough area.
Yeah.
And he takes a lot of these kids, the Garrett and Ties, underneath his wing and influences them in life. He comes with some really great jokes. Probably can't say them on air right now, but like many
I don't know.
football.
You can say what you can say.
Right, but I won't go there right now. We'll
Not
do it
today.
off the record. But he, in leading with encouragement, right, lifting you up, challenging you, like, I can, you can do this,
Mhm.
right? Like, I care about you. He would get to the point where, like, if we weren't like, giving our all, it would almost bring him to tears. Like, why are you guys doing this? I
Yeah.
know what you're capable of,
Yes.
and he has impacted me in ways I don't think he even knows.
Yeah.
And I really try to lead, from the front in the ways that Domingo did. And that's probably my favorite part in running a business is being able to provide opportunities to other people.
Mm-hmm.
Because making money is great. We can all make money. You can do all sorts of cool stuff, have a cool schedule, things like that. But people are not gonna remember what you said. They're gonna remember how you make them feel. And
Yeah.
if I really sat down, I could probably handpick a few things, but I know how when I showed up to work out in the mornings with Domingo that he was gonna make me feel good about myself and that I could do it. And that's something that I really try to push every day. Like, make people feel like they can do it. Give your best,
Yeah.
show up every day.
Yeah. The believer. So some coaches lead with strategy.
Mhm.
Some coaches lead with the magical speeches and things of that nature. And some coaches are even just the believers. But some coaches lead from the heart. You see what I'm saying?
From the heart.
And you said this, it's like it's not what you say, it's how you feel. Like I've had coaches that could not stop crying at the way we turned out. Some coaches that, put their life on hold to make sure we were good because that was their role as a coach, but they were coaching from the heart.
Mhm.
And so, and that's what's important about the Coach's Take is because you can tell you put your heart in what you're doing. You even said, hey, perseverance, man, like it's going to be ups and downs, but it's not going to get here because that's the difference. Like you have taken your heart, your game to the next level. And I love that you share that about your coach. I do. That's what's powerful about this particular show is you get a chance to share the people that molded you and what that means to you moving forward.
It's amazing. Like Domingo has done that with generations of people in the Watsonville,
Mhm.
California area and Santa Cruz County and Monterey County. Like he has taken every year, he takes a group of kids and, encourage them to do the right thing, listen to their parents, do well in school. So, just to be able to have a fraction of the impact that Domingo's had on me to other people would be an honor.
I love that. All right, we got to close this thing up. What are the Louisville Cardinals going to do this year in football?
I think we're going to be, the real deal. We got
Yeah.
Miller Moss coming in at quarterback from USC. Obviously,
Okay.
Jeff Brom.
The portal's working.
The portal's working. The Adidas bag is clearing.
Adidas bag.
Yeah, we got some weapons. Isaac Brown, probably the best running back in the country.
Yeah,
So
look out for Isaac Brown. That was one thing we talked about.
Yeah.
What's his number?
Number one. He
Number
was
one.
25 last year, and he
Okay,
changed to number one. So we got Isaac Brown and Duke Watson in the backfield, and then we got Colin Lacey out at wide receiver. Like many of these Jeff Brom teams, we're going to score 50 points.
Yes.
As long as we can allow 35 or less, I think we'll be a good team.
Shout out to Purdue. Shout out to the Big Ten. We still crying that he's gone.
Yeah, no doubt about it. He's home, though. He's a Louisville guy, went to Trinity High School. He's got his brothers on the staff, so really excited about the Cards this year.
That's awesome. Well, Garrett, it is always a pleasure, man. Listen, I'm hoping for you and what's going on with your business. Every time that I see you, man, I'm super excited. You're a very authentic dude, man. You're one of the favorite people I've met in this space, man.
Appreciate you so much for having me, Evan.
Yes, sir. This show is a wrap. Thanks for listening to Coach's Take.